What's up, Internet? This is episode 104 of the Making Geeks podcast, a podcast for makers, dads, and geeks. And I'd like to introduce you to my co-hosts I have here with me today, starting with Mr. Josh Price,
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Wes Swain,
Hello, what's going on?
and I would introduce everybody to Mr. Mark O'Keefe, but he's not here today.
Mark,
So
where
just
are
got
you?
the Mark.
Mark.
So got just the three of us here today that'll be carrying the episode and hopefully have some fun.
I think so.
Kind of like a three-legged race right now.
That would be a five-legged race?
Boom, I was waiting. Yep.
Zing.
Meow.
Technically it's 5.5. I still have half a leg.
That's
True.
true. You gotta give credit.
Gotta take it wherever you get it.
Mm-hmm.
So she said. Josh was slow on that one.
Well, I was playing Mark and not paying attention and surfing other websites while you guys were talking.
Ouch. Damn.
Zing.
How long have we been recording? Like
Oh, it's so fun.
2
You need to
seconds?
keep that.
I think all of us eventually need to take like a timeout, and then we all just rip on that person while they're not in the room.
Yeah.
I had my turn.
You guys don't even wait for me to leave. You just let me have it anyways.
That's what she said. There you go. Is that better?
Man.
Yeah, last week was brutal.
That was fun.
Yeah.
What you guys been up to since last we spoke?
I've had some orders come in for some stamps and laser engraved cup things. That's been nice.
Nice.
Been trying to do some more of a kind of a maker's style hustle with that, try to put myself out there a little bit more. I don't want to like make it always like about me selling crap on Instagram, but I don't know how much is enough like to keep kind of the exposure going, because I notice if I don't say anything, I don't get any traffic for that. So maybe once a week just have some sort of post relating to that. I don't know.
Word of mouth has been like our biggest seller.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how much you promote online, I mean, we may, a couple orders that way, but most of it's word of mouth and from some of the vendor events we've been doing.
Locally.
Mine are
Yeah.
customer referrals, because I don't want a whole lot of customer work. Like, it'd be nice maybe, but I don't have time for it. And so the stuff I can easily turn away because it's from one happy customer. They heard it from someone else and they're like, oh, can you make me a thing too? And if I have time, I have time. I think I have 3 more pens right now, and then a shadow box and a flag box. Little things. That's nice. Your table looks nice, Sean. An outdoor table you're making?
Thanks. It's probably a lot more work than what it should have been because the wood I chose to use was some really beat up pallet wood, and if you look at it, almost termite infested, but it's not. Just those are the number of nails I had to pull out of there. But it's going to be an outdoor table. I keep finding these steel table bases all over my town. So I think they had glass tops at one time, and they probably broke, and then people tossed the tables. Well, those table bases are expensive, and I got wood, so I have 2 that I'm going to have.
High
We
five.
should do like a count for how many times this episode that happens. So I have the one that'll be it's almost done. I just have to get the circular saw and cut the circle around it, and then I'm starting the second one hopefully tomorrow as well, and I'm doing a video for that to try to get in the groove again. I haven't shot anything for a while, and it's really slow, and I almost just didn't want to do it. I'm kind of forcing myself to do it to kind of get going again. I think once I start editing, I'll kind of maybe get the fever again for putting some of those videos out there.
Yeah, I've been caught in a kind of a slog for one of my videos for like a couple weeks. It's a Nintendo Labo one. It's nothing special. It's just kind of like the review that I promised to do for just the general system of it. And it's just not terribly engaging for me anymore. Not the project. It's just I'm not into it anymore. So it's just like
Into the video?
Yeah, yeah.
There's definitely a timing thing where if it takes too long, it's really hard to pick that project back up again. But then you had another Labo one that you'd mentioned before. I'm not going to say what it was because I know that.
Yeah, I want that to be the second one, so I need to have this one out before that one, just for it to make sense in like a playlist kind of, setup.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And I want to try to do some more videos that are not quite as processed. I was thinking that might be kind of an interesting challenge to use just my phone to do like all the text, all the titles, all the everything, and have like less barrier to entry. As far as, I mean, it might be a barrier into itself because it's not as well featured, but I think that could be an interesting challenge for myself, just to see if I can get out more videos, just because I'm not as concerned with the post-processing on them, a little bit more raw. But
I think it'd be interesting to see like the return on that, if it's any different.
Yeah.
I mean, because if it's not
Instagram
any
TV.
different,
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
What's up
I
with
just
that?
saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I think I'm going to hop on that because I have zero desire to make any YouTube videos anymore. I don't know if as I do it professionally, it's just a thing, but
How does it
even before
differentiate
then,
for the live, like when you're going live or whatever? What is the
I don't really
difference?
know.
Yeah.
I know
For
it's
one
kind of
thing,
what
it's
you're
a
saying.
portrait format, which I hate.
It's portrait format. It seems to be more mobile based because you have to post things to Instagram on your phone.
Right.
I don't know. So I haven't really checked it out. I saw Joel Telling's like initial Instagram TV video, I guess that's what you're calling it, but I don't know. I don't want to make any more videos. I almost shut my YouTube channel down the other day because I keep getting subscribers. Like they keep trickling in, and I haven't put out a video since like August. And it's like, where have I been since way before then? And so it's, I mean, Instagram seems to be easy because you're saying it's low investment. It's quicker. I already have stuff with me. It doesn't take a whole lot of post processing to get information or to get projects and things out.
Yep.
I can focus more on what it is I'm doing and then take a fancy picture or highlight the poignant learning point while not having to go through Final Cut and import media and manage all these huge files and blah, 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 blah. And I never saw a return on YouTube like you guys have. And so it was always like, I'll put it out there for the community. So if the community can get whatever information I'm hoping to get to them faster and quicker and less intrusive, then sign me up. And YouTube is not it.
I saw the video that went live today too, for I like to make stuff. That was a fun video.
Oh, the finger thing?
Yeah, the finger on the glyph words.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
That was a fun video. I actually really enjoyed that.
We were watching the edit and doing all the voiceover. Because, like, that one, we've been doing a lot of projects lately. And not that one got lost in the fold, but, like, that one was just kind of fun and silly. And we watched the edit. I was like, these are the videos. Not that it's dissimilar from what's going on. I was like, this is the perfect I like to make stuff video, in my
It
opinion.
is. It is.
It had little dabbles of a bunch of different mediums. Bob was having fun. It was kind of silly. It was electronics. It served a weird kind of pseudo purpose. But we're talking about it's a molded casted finger or cast of Bob's finger that's attached to a servo that's attached to this microcontroller that you can use through your Amazon Echo. And so it'll push this button on the Glowforge so I don't have to push it. And that's what it was. We sat around. I'm like, I'm tired of getting up and pushing this stupid button. Well, let's make a finger that pushes the button so I don't have to. And then it just kind of evolved into that. But it was fun. I was really proud of that one. We started the little bits videos. Have you guys seen those? The bits one?
I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, so I edit all of those. But that was kind of nerve-wracking because it's like a brand new thing. There's little short tips on a bunch of different topics. And it's easier for sponsors because it's not a full project video because we anticipated the views being less so we can sell them at a cheaper price point to people. And we sold a number of them to sponsors without it ever being released. Like no one had ever seen it. It was just on the concept. And so this first one came out and we were all I wasn't, of course, but like I was nervous. Like we've got people that are expecting these things to do well. Like I hope it does well, and it's doing really well.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question for you about some of that stuff later on, after the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is a secret.
Yeah. Actually, I want to give this kind of a weird place to do kind of a shout out, but something I've been paying attention to a little bit more, especially in the I like to mix up videos, but in a lot of other people's videos too, is there are some videos that clearly have better production value, not just because of a better camera, stuff like that, or the lighting, but a lot of times it's the thumbnail that goes up, or just other marketing material that goes along with the channel. And 4B does all the graphic stuff for I like to make stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken. I saw I forgot where I saw it. It must have been on Instagram or something. I had a 5 for I like to make stuff, like 5-year anniversary, I think it was.
Was it in the email?
It might have been the email. Yeah. That graphic I thought was great. So shout out to 4B, did some amazing work. That one really caught my attention. I thought that was really well done. It really kind of sells. Does its job as marketing
promotional item. So I guess Patreon contacted Bob the other day. It was like a week or so ago, that it's like it's their 5-year anniversary, and Bob signed up on Patreon like the moment that Jack Conte announced that it existed. So it's also Bob's 5-year anniversary on Patreon. So they're having a thing where they want to reward people that are at a certain patron level with like a physical reward. Because Bob used to do physical rewards, and now he doesn't. He just does like meetups because it's really hard to track. Patreon doesn't do a very good job of tracking who has received what. And so now they're getting better at it. So they're like, everybody at a certain patron level will receive this physical thing as like a thank you or whatever. And so we were ballparking stuff that we could do. And we're like, a cool t-shirt or something laser cut. And we were looking at different products to put in the store anyway. A poster was one of them. And so we kind of spitballed that idea. And we're like, what if you put like all the cool projects that you did on like a big splattered thing? And then 4B took the idea and just made it awesome. It's super cool. And now I have to go become a patron again so I can get a poster. Yeah, 4B does a bang-up job. He does all the editing. He's just a super cool guy. Yeah.
All right, so what are we talking about today before Wes falls asleep here?
Yes, please help me.
We're going to talk... Okay. I'm going to set this straight, and I'm going to say this in the most neutral, judgment-free way I can. We're going to talk about Solo, a Star Wars movie.
We're breaking tradition here a little bit.
Directed by Ron Howard. There you go. So yeah, Bob's not going to be on this one because we barely thought that we were going to do this, and then we started kind of talking back and forth and said, why not? Let's talk about it. Maybe we'll get into some other, farther reaching brand building.
Yeah, galaxies far, farther away.
Yeah. How does this affect saturation and whatever? If we gets to it, it gets to it. But we're going to talk about Solo. I've heard a lot of people's opinions. I've taken them all in. It may have affected my opinion like a fraction. I don't think my opinion is a secret to anybody. So I would like you guys, I would like Sean in particular, because I haven't heard you. I've heard a little bit from Wes. And so we can go around. But Sean, I would like to hear from you first how you felt about Solo, a Han Solo story from the Star Wars universe. That was a movie.
And most popularly stated as the movie that nobody asked for, the movie that nobody wanted. Okay, so I can't simply say if I liked it or didn't like it, because I think it is a lot more subtle than that. So I'll give it a score on a typical 10-point scale. I give it a 6.
Respectable.
I give it a 6. And it could have been a 7 and close to an 8 really easily, and it's really frustrating that it wasn't. And I think you guys saw it before I did, and remember being in the theater, watching with my wife, and watching the first 5 minutes of the film. I think it was like 5 to 8 minutes, thinking this is total garbage.
What?
And then, what was that?
Oh, I'm sorry, keep going.
So the first 5 to 8 minutes I thought was total garbage, and then it got to a certain point. I'm like, okay, this should have been the start of the movie. This should have been the start of the movie because I didn't need all that other crap. I didn't like the way it looked. It actually hurt my eyes with the way it was shot. And then there's a certain point okay, this should be the start of the movie, and then I'm more okay with it from that point on. And then it would have already been a 7 for me. The beginning annoyed me that much, and I'm I'm really trying to look past the actor because I can't stand the act. Well, that's not fair to say. It's not that I can't stand the actor. I don't think this person is, as much as they try to be Han Solo, I don't think it was the right person. But that's almost an aside.
I don't
So,
think it can be.
what part?
I don't think it's an aside. I think that the character
Well,
development
right,
and
but
you believing in the characters is the most crucial part of what is this, an origin story? It's
no, I
about
mean,
this one guy.
okay. I mean, I understand that, but to look at the movie for what it is, I can't focus just on that. I think that's universally kind of already supported. So I don't want to, harp on that when everybody already kind of, you know, almost universally agrees on that one point. So I give it a 6. I think it could have been edited in a different way that would have gave it a higher score. Yeah.
Wesley?
Typically, let's see. I went in not expecting a lot because I wasn't terribly enthralled by the idea. But I felt that I needed to still see it in the theater because I'm a sucker. And I agree that the beginning was weird, and I don't okay. So, trying to distill this down, I would give it a B. And a 6 out of 10 is probably fair as well. There are parts that I liked, and I came out of the theater not really sure how to feel about it because I guess I wanted to be more impressed with it than I was. I ended up coming out of it feeling kind of underwhelmed, and it felt like they just had like a checklist of all these Solo tropes and references that they had to make sure that they hit all these, or else it wouldn't be a Han Solo movie. And it felt like the whole movie was just those spread out across the entire length of the movie, and you see a cool reference, and then there's some stuff you don't care about, and then there's another reference and stuff you don't care about, and it just kind of felt like they were evenly distributed through the movie. And I think some of the things they explained, like his last name, should have still been a mystery. That's one of the biggest problems with that movie, is the last name. It felt kind of like the reaction that the general Star Wars audience had to Luke tossing a lightsaber over his shoulder. Like, it was sort of like it's kind of like F you to the audience in a way, because like, here's this important thing that you probably want to know about, and you probably expect to have a good explanation, and it's terrible. Like, I don't believe for a second that he would continue to keep that name after he fell out of, whatever, let's say, whenever he quits the Empire, recruitment program. He's not going to go by that anymore. Why would he? He's not on his own. He's with Chewie from then until he dies. So before that, he was with the girl, supposedly, and that was like his only motivation to do anything was because of the girl. And then he finds the girl outside gallivanting across the universe in the exact same spot that he's at, and that gets resolved, and he doesn't have any reason to do anything anymore. He's just like, well, I'll be a not a bounty hunter, but what's the word I'm looking for?
A gang member?
Yeah.
A smuggler?
Smuggler, yes.
Smuggler.
Thank you. And probably the biggest problem I had with the movie, like, I like the intro of how Chewie and him met was kind of interesting, but they didn't. Of all the things that they could have explained, like that checklist, the most important one to me is one they didn't even mention, which was the life debt between Chewie and Han. Like, that was like the critical thing that set up their friendship, or at least set up the terms of their friendship to allow their friendship to blossom, and the camaraderie and the bromance, whatever. And they didn't mention that at all. And then when they were in the spice mine, they were like completely willing to part ways for Chewie to go after the other Wookiees and him to go do whatever Han Solo was going to do. And they're like, all right, if I see you, I'll see you. Cool. Yeah, is that cool? And then they just like leave. There was no way that would have happened according to the life debt thing, because it's like the paramount prime directive rule that trumps all over other things is Chewie's always going to be by his side. And I think they should have spun it around, and like all the other stories that have ever existed in the movie universe for Star Wars have always been about Han Solo versus about Chewie. Like, it's always what Han Solo wants to do. And I think they should have turned it around and had him go help Chewie with the Wookiees that they were breaking free. And I think that would have helped that relationship and kind of built on something and explained how they are such good, friends. But they didn't. They just completely threw that away. And
If anything, Han owes Chewie.
Oh, yeah.
Because Chewie didn't kill him.
That's true.
And he's like, oh, he freed me from the pit or whatever. But like, well, Chewie could have ate you, so you're welcome.
And he also, he also freed Chewie. You could look at it a lot of different ways, for sure. But they didn't mention the life debt, which I thought was a very important part of their relationship. But maybe not. There were some other issues I had, but that was the biggest one. It felt like there was no development. Like, I didn't come out of the theater like really understanding the character any more than when I went in. And I think a prequel needs to give more like myth, more build up to what you already know about him, and they didn't do that.
I know that based on previous stories and I think comic books, although I'm not sure if it's canon anymore, Han Solo was already supposed to have a predefined past, and I'm not sure if they had set it up so this movie redefines it. And maybe that's what they're using to get away with what they did. But if you remember in the original trilogy, Han Solo's pants I thought were supposed to be like Imperial uniform pants. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. And I was under the impression that Solo was in the academy, which they made reference to, but in officer training. I think that would have been interesting to see. Instead, they gloss over all of that and him getting kicked out of the academy. And now he's now he's a grunt soldier, in the trenches like it's World War II. And I don't mind it that much because I know that a lot of Star Wars is kind of a based off parallel of World War II. I mean, the original trilogy, or at least the original movie, is somewhat of an allegory for World War II. But it felt really strange in those initial war scenes where I'm seeing the Empire having regular people in the trenches. I thought they had stormtroopers. I don't know why they have people there without any armor on, out there on the field. That it just felt weird to me. It did not feel like Star Wars. And I know that from a movie making point of view, you want to see the actors' faces, and maybe that's where you introduce to Woody Harrelson's crew and all of that. It felt weird. It felt out of place. It didn't feel cohesive for this universe that's been developed for the last 40 years. Just strange.
Well, you raised a good point that I didn't think of before that made me not like the movie more. I did not care for this film. I wouldn't give it a 6. I would give it a 4. I would give it a 4. Hard 4. Besides him being a bad actor or whatever, like, I'll dismiss that in my opinion. I went in with just a sterile face. Like, okay, entertain me. I gave you some money, just entertain me. That was the goal they had. And they didn't. And I found myself just making weird grimaces, like a lot, like like many times.
Yeah.
But the story in it's a Han Solo story. And I completely agree that they didn't add anything to the Han Solo character. Everything you needed to know about Han Solo, you knew from the original. He was a scoundrel. I got it. He had a ship. It was fast. I got it. He was all about himself, and he only wants the money. And I guess that's what you look out for yourself. That's what you do best. And then he got guilt tripped into coming back and helping everybody and saving the Death Star. And that's his character arc. Like, you trying to have a pre-character arc? I don't know. But so you meet him and he's in the weird Oliver Twist indentured slavery kind of thing. And his girl, like, it's him and his girl. That's what we have. I'm like, okay, he's got this lady. He cares about this lady. Let's do it. Let's keep going. And then they're going to escape together because now they got some money. And they get to the train thing, and they get separated, and it's terrible. And he sneaks away. Okay. But he's so emphatic about getting back to that place to get his girl out of slavery. I'm like, that's an admirable quest. Please tell me more. I'm on board with this hero's tale. So yeah, then he tries to join the army, and they give him the crap name that was just the stupidest thing. And Wes, I don't know about you, but when you left the military, did you like it when people called you Swain?
No.
Or did you go, no, my name is Wes?
Yes.
Yeah. And especially if you hated the military as much as he did, I'm pretty sure he did not want the name that his previous military-type captors just randomly and boringly assigned him.
Yep.
Stupid. But
wouldn't it have made more sense if he actually changed his name after the military? And that name would have been like, because otherwise there's an association, right?
And I guess like I'm all about like not even authenticity. It's a space movie. Like I want to believe the space movie. Take me into your mythical weird world and I'll buy into it as long as you keep it going. And that was one of those things that didn't seem like that's not realistic. Like if you hate everything about you being in the military and they call you Solo, hey Solo, what are you doing? Hey Solo. And the moment you get out, you want to break yourself away from that as far as you can. He's like, no, that's just going to be my name forever. I'm going to name my kid that instead of Organa, an admirable name, a royal name. Like, no, take the name that some dingleberry gave me in the train station after I left my first girlfriend.
And I'm going to combine it with a fake name of Mr. Kenobi. So it's Ben Solo. So Ben's a BS name, and Solo's a BS name. No wonder Kylo has issues. His name is a farce. What's his heritage? It's complete made up.
I hope Lucasfilm is listening. Because they had a trilogy of these planned.
No, but so, like, again, the whole story to me was he had to do what he had to do, scoundrel-wise, join a gang. I need to get a ship, right, to go get his girl. And so it seemed to glorify, like, the gang lifestyle. And he's like, yeah, whatever I got to do. I got to kill, I got to steal, I got to whatever. Like, let's do it. I'm on board. Like, let's glorify this lifestyle. And I'm like, that is only acceptable to me if even as a character, like, if it justifies the ends.
Yeah, for the means.
And so he gets into the thing, and he's like, oh, hey, girl, you're here. And it's not this like, oh my God, like the love of my life. I've been through so much in this world, and you're here, and I'm so glad you're here. He turns
What's up? What's up, girl?
He's like, hey, this is what's her name? I know her from stuff.
That's neat.
The end. And so I'm like, so is this the end of the movie? Because what's your quest? Like, you have no jeopardy after. Like, what are you doing now? I'm just gonna keep being a scoundrel because I want to get a ship and fly. Even though I went to space, I went to damn pilot training. You're not gonna show any of that. Even though I'm one of the greatest pilots in the galaxy, and this is an origin story, but you're not gonna show how I became a great pilot. You're gonna show me slopping around in the mud, which wasn't a terrible scene. I kind of liked that part. I thought the costumes were cool. But why wouldn't you show him becoming a pilot and being a wise ass and stuff at pilot school so that it would translate to you being a wise ass pilot?
The first time they show him doing any sort of remote piloting is where he gets his damn speeder stuck between two walls. So that's the complete opposite of a badass pilot. I know that's a reference later on that they kind of set up for like another scene later on, but it's not very awe-inspiring.
I didn't get the story, and I'm like, so is like the camera crew like, you paid for 7 days, we're just gonna keep following you around?
There was one thing I wanted to see in this movie because it had been talked about in so many other movies. Like, I want to see the Kessel Run. I want to see the Kessel Run. What the hell is the Kessel Run? The Kessel Run is a piece of crap, and they need to just start over.
See, I didn't have a problem with that.
I did. I'm like, really? A space kraken? You know, it's like in the middle of space.
Out of everything in this movie, I thought that was the most cinematically beautiful shot.
There were a couple, but
it looked like it was soundstage. The whole thing. soundstage. Where that's why I wanted to apologize to Rogue One, because Rogue One had beautiful, like, low atmosphere overhead shots of planets and just beautiful expanses and atmospheres.
And the
The
music.
worlds, right? The worlds that they were in were kind of characters themselves. Or in Solo, like, they found another place with ice and it had a train, and that was it. And the rest of it was just like people in close proximity under a roof, and you didn't get a feel for the universe. It all seemed very, very small, and maybe because it's just dealing with Han Solo, it's supposed to be that way. But the characters. Okay, so we talked about Han Solo as a character. Chewie is always a solid character, regardless. Chewie endures. Chewie is the Samwise Gamgee of Star Wars. Like, he can do no wrong. But the other people. So there's Kira, his pseudo love interest. How'd you feel about
who is now rumored to be Rey's mom?
I've heard such things.
I thought she was okay. I mean, I kind of like her as an actress. I thought she did okay in the role. And I thought one of the best scenes in the entire movie was her fight scene with Paul Bettany at the end. I thought that was decent. And I like Paul Bettany's character, too.
He was cool. They should have done more with him. I thought that his Han Solo's Obi-Wan role model was a complete waste of a character. He had no
I did not like Woody Harrelson in it.
Yeah, he had no interesting qualities whatsoever. The only thing he gave to Han Solo was the use of the word kid. That's all he gave him.
He gave him a blaster.
And the blaster.
And his blaster, which was complete stupid.
See, I really thought they were going to set it up as more of a father figure that really kind of helped turn Han into who he became.
That would be
That's
cool.
that's what I thought it was going to be from the preview. I'm like, why else would you do it this way? You know, if you're in this life, you're in it for good. I'm like, oh, great. Now we're going to see why. And I don't think that was the case at all.
No, he completely chose to do it many times along that journey. And he's like, don't trust anyone, kid. But he does. He trusts everyone. He trusts Chewie. He trusts Kara. What's his name? The guy who says, don't trust anybody. Trusted his wife/girlfriend, whatever character, who sacrificed herself after 5 lines in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he trusts everybody in this.
Oh, no.
Is he on the road again?
No? What's happening?
You froze.
You were frozen.
Oh.
Josh and Carbonite.
But just like the message that he was doing, it didn't help anything.
No.
Only thing he did is like, oh, he was the one who betrayed Han.
One of the most interesting characters was that Mini Goro character that was the pilot. He was cool. They should have done more with him, and they killed him off. He had the most personality out of any character in the entire movie. The 4-armed dwarven pilot. He had like kind of the Star Wars quirky alien thing going on. You know, it was a little bit of a comic relief, something different than we've normally seen. You know, I've never seen a character like that species or whatever. Maybe I missed it before. I don't know. Like the gambling sequence, the aliens that were around that table. Some of them, like, that felt like another Star Wars thing. Like, I like new slummy kind of environments that have random aliens in it. That's the thing for me. That's like the cantina, you know, all these weird creatures you've never seen before. It's to help explain how fantastical and wild this whole Wild West is. And I don't know, I thought they shouldn't have killed that character off. I thought he could have done more.
Okay, so what about Lando? How did Donald Glover do?
I thought he did as well as anybody could have done in that role and for that writing. I think he was fine. I think he was exactly who and what he was supposed to be. Nothing more, nothing less.
I thought he did a good job. But there's one thing, and I don't know if you guys caught it, and I don't know if I said this before, but when Han is going into the casino scene, did I say this last time?
Keep going.
Don't remember.
When he goes in there and you hear Lando's voice for the first time, but you do not see him. yet. Like you have yet to round the corner. He sounds just like Billy D. And I'm like, damn, Donald Glover's got this on lockdown. And then he goes around and he starts speaking like Donald Glover. And I'm like, did they bring in Billy D just to say that part, just to initially and get everybody's like, boom, that's Lando, like in their head? Or did he just like, I'm going to put on my Lando and then kind of revert back to my normal kind of rhetoric?
So you don't think it matched up?
It didn't. It was a clear distinction between the dialogue. And so I don't know if Donald Glover did it just to like lay it on early and then
Either
kind
that
of
or
back off.
They could have pulled old audio too.
Yeah, they did it
Right?
for 7.
Mm-hmm. In your opinions, I don't know if that stood out to me. And I was
I have to watch it again, which I don't want to, just to listen to
I
that.
saw it twice.
I only saw it one time.
I saw it
just
twice
don't feel
because
like-
I thought maybe, like I had a similar reaction for episode 8, where the first time through I was so derailed by a lot of the decisions they made, it distracted me from the entire scope of the movie. And then the second time I watched it through, I accepted all those things that were weird to me at first and that were distracting, and I felt I enjoyed it more. And I could pay attention more to the minutia that I want to pay attention to, not stuff that I thought they should have done or whatever.
I will easily admit that I did not watch Solo a second time, and I feel that if I did watch it a second time, it may sway my decision for that very reason. But I just don't have a desire to do it.
What do you guys think about what they did with the story? So they made it that because of Han's decision at the end of the movie to basically give that stuff away to the rebels, that he actually funded the resistance.
It seems some like it felt like an episode of Inspector Gadget to me, where like not through any fault, not through any like heroism of his own, it just the pieces fell into place where like it just happened to do like Penny and Brain kind of orchestrated all this to happen to make it look like he was the victor. It just, I don't know. That's what I felt like. It was sort of like not because of his fundamental like character, pillars of his, what makes him him. It just kind of, I don't know. It felt like they just shoveled it in there at the end. Like, hey, this is neat. He sort of helped fund all this stuff, and I was like, really?
There are so many things like that that I think were forced.
Yeah.
And so after I saw Solo, I went through and watched like 3 or 4 videos online that go like 10 things you should know about Solo, like Easter eggs you should have found. And some of those actually made me appreciate some things about the film more. But I think that presents another problem, is that I shouldn't have to do any of that extra stuff. I should be able to watch the film and appreciate it being a good film on its own without all this other hidden stuff. That, I didn't watch all the episodes of Rebels. No, I don't have every single movie and line memorized so I can make those connections. There's one, well, it's not funny, but somebody had found a connection between Lando's robot companion being uploaded to the Millennium Falcon computer, but then it links to one of the original trilogy where C-3PO says, "Oh, this ship has such a weird, strange dialect."
Yeah.
I actually kind of liked that connection.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't forced.
Right. I think it's kind of nice to kind of explain something that already happened in the original trilogies, but it's something that I never would have figured out if somebody didn't connect those dots for me. I wouldn't have remembered that because it's such a small detail.
That's the kind of detail I would like to have had more of, that it rewards people that pay attention, but doesn't shovel the reference right up in your face. And you know what I mean? Like the last name thing or the blaster, all these clear things. Like, it's not a very good comparison, but I wanted more of that. More of the stuff like if you got it, you earned it.
Like the Darth Maul reference.
Right.
Like Darth Maul showing up at the end.
It kind of rewards the people. It rewards the true believers, while not
it confuses the piss out of everybody else, though.
No, that's true. For him to show up,
I thought it was a bold choice. You hear
Because
his
my wife
robot
is sitting
legs.
there going, I thought he was dead.
True.
She doesn't know anything that's happened in any of their shows. And technically neither do I. I just know that he's still alive. I don't know why or how.
But is that okay though? Like, is that evoking the emotion they wanted to get out of the people they didn't know. It's like there's your literal shock factor that, oh my god, he's actually alive. Like
I don't know
that's
if anybody cared is the problem.
Well, I think the people that watched Rebels and watched the Clone Wars loved it, and the like. You hear his robot legs when he stands up, and I'm like, oh yeah, in Lego Star Wars he has robot legs. I was like, I guess that's a thing.
yep.
And so that could have been the perfect like, what? How did he get here to lead into a potential second solo?
Sure.
So a duo movie or whatever
And
it comes
also,
on.
it would
after.
reference maybe the Obi-Wan movie as well. That was supposed to be in development.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you a cool question though, because there was I don't know if this was actually a thing, but do you think it would have been better if Vader made an appearance instead of Maul? Because at least Vader is the one that appears in almost all the other films, as if he is the thing tying all these things together.
I don't think Vader would have cared about her. Vader's got bigger fish to fry than some girl who is weirdly enslaved by a bunch of people to do stuff. I would have felt that would have been overly shoehorned into that movie.
Shoehorn, like having Maul activate his lightsaber, like that was not necessary. That felt a little bit.
It's that final
too much.
Star Wars threat.
Like, hey, you don't
Okay.
remember who I am? You don't remember these horns? Are you confused right now? Let me illuminate this double-sided lightsaber in case you forget who I am. It just felt like another Force thing right in your face. It's just like, really? You're intimidating
So
her? With your
funny thing
hologram?
about that part is that I kind of dozed off. And then I kind of like woke back up. I'm like, is this garbage over with? And then Darth Maul showed up. I'm like, what the hell? What's happening here? And then he turned his lightsaber on. I'm like, is this really happening? And then the kid next to me was gasping. I'm like, oh, this is part of the movie. I'm just not kind of in some weird Star Wars dream. But more importantly than that, L3, is that Lando's robot's name?
Yeah.
Or his droid?
Yes.
He banged that droid.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
that's his sex slave, right?
Yeah.
Did he bang Kira? That seemed heavily implied.
Yeah, he was like, hey, girl. Like, yeah, maybe.
I think her whole storyline made me very uncomfortable.
Like the back of a Volkswagen.
I talked to my wife about that. I mean,
Like
I
weird
think that
human
as
trafficking kind of.
yeah, I mean, as adults, we kind of accept that stuff probably would go on in that universe. But I think that Star Wars still should maintain some of a childlike. I know it sounds
Innocence.
weird saying this.
Yeah.
Almost like a childlike innocence. And I could have done without those references. I think that out of all franchises, I don't want to see that referenced at all, even subtly. So in the movies.
You got to be woke, Sean. That's your problem.
I mean, they already referenced bestiality in a Disney movie in Frozen, so I mean, why not?
What?
Wes, I don't know what you're seeing
We're talking
in
about
movies.
we're talking about adult themes that are in things that should remain childlike. Yes,
Yep.
Okay.
because if you're familiar with Frozen,
I have seen the film.
there's a scene where the trolls reference Kristoff having relationships with Sven that are against nature's laws. It's a lyric in the movie in the song.
I don't remember that part.
Yup.
Dirty.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Wes is
besides
seeing what he
like,
wants to see.
well,
I pay attention.
Sean, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like in the Star Wars universe, there's got to be entire planets of just like sex bots. Like, okay, and Lando being kind of like a hey everybody. Like, of course, Lando has a walk-in closet with capes and like I'm pretty sure some dirty robo prostitutes somewhere. But like, it led me. She was comic relief, right, with like her swagger and her oversized hips, and then it made fun
It's
of
a
the
sassy
fact
black woman
that,
droid.
well, whenever she goes into the spice mine and she's like, you go away, little droid, go free your brothers and sisters. Like, she just wants this thing to go away and then magically has this turn of like, we need to revolt and we need to rise up and we want equal rights. And so this very heavy theme that seems almost kind of laughable. And it's like, oh, you got to put the robots down and
I
I was
agree.
gonna erase her memory anyway, and it was
Yeah,
very weird, and I didn't know how to feel
the
between.
intro when they introduced her, there was a little bit of that where she was telling the droids that were in the cage match to not do this, and then you're right when they went back when they fast forwarded to the spice mine, it was almost like a joking, like "Go
Mhm.
away, you obnoxious thing," and then yeah, like she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm for pro droid rights," and then she started doing the thing which ultimately led to nothing because C-3PO says later on that he doesn't want to be sent to the spice mines of Kessel because that's like the worst place for a droid to go, right? So
Because
obviously
they get raped by Lando Calrissian.
their uprising didn't take. So good job. Yeah,
Nah, it, just,
get raped.
it was weird. And he was like, "Can I get you anything?" And she's like, "Equal rights." And we're like, is that funny? Like, I don't know. And then it goes like, "We don't serve their kind in here in the original."
Right.
But it brought to light, yeah, this weird human trafficking slash robo indenturedness that I don't know. It was just
Yeah,
strange.
they sentient. Do they have rights? Like there's a whole like the if you're into Star Trek, the whole data, the next generation, the data character arc. There's a whole section of that where they kind of they kind of look into what's humanity mean, what's what rights do inanimate objects have, where's that line where something is sentient, that whole kind of thing. Is that necessary to be in? I think it'd be cool to explore in Star Wars. It hasn't really been looked into, but it
Yeah, but they
shouldn't be
made
like
like
a it
a
shouldn't be
joke
just
out of
kind
it.
of a secondary. Yeah, it shouldn't be a
It was a
secondary thing.
throwaway
Yeah,
topic,
exactly.
and it still didn't settle the Kessel Run whether it was a unit of distance or time,
It's true.
because it's
The way they
one of those
talk.
Tetris pieces that
Mm-hmm.
makes a hard left and then a hard right.
Yep.
And if you cut off those corners, it's a shorter distance and it takes you less time. So it didn't really solve that,
Yep.
which I kind of liked.
On the second viewing, I listened to how they were talking, and they did not
That's
clarify,
I
which is
thought
okay.
I thought it was a clear expression of time.
If the run is a path that you must take, then they did it in a shorter path.
right, because they were like, you have to go by this path and it takes a certain amount of time.
But then if you deviate from the
he
path,
cut
it's
off
not
the
the
corners.
actual.
Exactly. You deviate from the path is shorter,
But
and
that's
it
supposed
takes
to be
you less
the
time.
but that's supposed to be the entire point where he's been promoting this lie over all this time.
Of something that no one else was witness to and no one else cares about.
Well, other than this legendary path,
What?
the whole thing is he cheated, just like Lando cheated in the game. He's a cheat. He's a smuggler. He's a scoundrel. So yeah, it's not even a real record because they took a shortcut. Therefore, it's not the same path, right? That's what you guys are debating about.
I don't know anymore. But I think points like that it didn't matter. Like when he has his little dice in the beginning and he gives them to Kara. And there's no like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to those. Like, oh, he gets those back. I don't care what happens. Like, he gets those back. And he meets Lando in there at a card table. And then Lando wins and takes all his money. I'm like, oh, well, you lose that in a card game. So eventually he's going to get it back. And the Kessel Run, it's like, oh, the Kessel Run's like, oh, he's going to go fast. Or take it a short distance, however you want to look at it. Like, eh. And so he's presented with these points. And you already know the outcome. So I think it kind of messes with you to try to keep the allure or build some allure. But for me, it felt flat because I knew how it was going to end up.
There's actually one small detail that really kind of annoyed me, and I might see it differently if I saw the film again. But for majority of the movie, you see the ship, and it has the front where the prongs are covered.
Mm-hmm.
But then after going through the Kessel Run, and it lands on that desert planet, it looks like the Millennium Falcon that we all have seen for the last 40 years.
That.
They ejected the escape pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's something that I don't recall exactly how it happened in the Kessel Run, just because the way it was shot.
Exactly. It was so arbitrary.
Yeah, because Lando says some
I
of the
wanted there
upgrades he
to be
put in there,
something
he put
bigger
in an
about it.
escape pod, and then they're in that sequence. They're like, oh, we got to feed that monster something, right? Isn't that what they did? And then they
I
ejected
don't
it
remember.
for him to eat it.
I remember it just
Maybe
spit
that's where
out
I
and it
dozed
was
off.
gone.
There's a lot of stuff happening in that scene, like a lot of tentacles
Yep.
and like
And that's
swirls, and it just
the thing
kind
is
of
I wanted something a little bit more clear cut of what that was, and
it was easy to miss.
I thought it was something different based on other drawings I had seen, but whatever now.
It seemed weak, though. I mean, just what's like you're talking about. They had these bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems like they had to get all of the bullet points in, and they're like, "Well, this if we're gonna make the ship look weird in the beginning, and everybody's gonna freak out, like, why does the ship look weird? Make that escape pod or whatever, like, do something, make it meaningful. Like, it saved somebody's life, and it did some whatever. Now the ship looks like this. It's just like, like push that button and have that little thing go, and now everybody can go, ha 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 ha. It looks like the Millennium Falcon now. Like, that was empty. Like, the blaster, he just like
I guess
randomly throws
that's
him a
my bigger
blaster.
complaint.
They were all of the points that were supposed to like satisfy this non-existent desire
Yeah.
were empty anyway.
It was the same thing
They had
Ryan
no
Johnson
substance.
did with 8, is all the expectations that you were looking forward to the explanation or the I forget the word, but where you exposition. You're looking forward to the exposition of what this thing means, and then they just kind of give you a throwaway answer, like just like tossing a lightsaber over your shoulder or saying Rey's parents really don't matter, don't worry about that. Like, you've been stewing over this fact for, in that instance for Rey, a couple years, but in a lot of this myth and legend for Solo, for like 30 years, you've been wondering about these things, and they just kind of like, it's almost like a joke. That they're just like, haha, we're subverting your expectation because we're not giving you a good explanation. So,
I feel this movie made him less cool.
mm-hmm.
Like in the original movie, he was just cool. You show up, he's cool. Boom. He's a scoundrel. I did this awesome thing with my ship because it's super fast. I'm kind of quippy and funny. And in this movie, he just seems really passive. A lot of things he seems passive. And then when he's finally confronted with a way to, like, to be his own, it was weak. Everything about it was weak. It was boring.
This probably doesn't matter that much, but I'm just kind of curious. How many years do you think are supposed to have occurred or transpired between the end of Solo and A New Hope?
See, I had that in my head the whole time. Like when it first started, and you see a stormtrooper walking.
I want to know. I want to know a timeline.
That's exactly. I was like, where is this fitting? Because I was trying to figure out how old he could have been.
I think it
when
matters.
Luke showed up, because Luke was a teenager, and I was like, does Darth Vader exist right now? And I was doing all that weird chronological math in the very beginning, which it was kind of boring in the beginning, so I didn't really miss anything to begin with. It gave me time to do math and think about other movies while I was watching a movie.
Because this is before Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Because you can see the
10
guy.
years before.
You saw the guy who was
Well, because Rogue One runs into New Hope, so.
No, and one of the guys that was in the gang with Enfys Nest was in what's his name's gang? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What did I miss?
One of the aliens that was in Enfys
Had a little respirator thing and his little like whoop going out to the side.
He was in shit. The guy.
What's the guy's name?
What's his name? That in Rogue One you had the black actor.
Forrest Whitaker's character.
Yes.
Saw Gorilla.
Saw
Saul.
Gorilla.
Yeah.
So the guy who goes and gets the pilot.
Guerrero, not Gorilla. Guerrero.
So the guy who captures the pilot, who's like, he has a white alien face. He's kind of bald. He has these two like very pointy things goes off the side of the head and looks like he's wearing an oxygen mask. That guy was in the gang with Enfys Nest.
Oh, okay.
So the rebellion part of that, like, I was kind of okay with. Like the weird backstory, like, are they pirates? Are they whatevers? Like that didn't catch me. But at the end, you see like that whole movement starting right there, and then going off into individual gangs, and then in Rogue One, you see those gangs kind of quarreling with themselves, and then finally they unify into the rebellion. Like, sure, Han Solo didn't need to be anywhere in that. And to claim that maybe he started the rebellion or financed the rebellion, like, shut up. Like, what? No. it was going to happen one way or the other. People are oppressed, and they hate being oppressed, so they're going to rise up. And stupid, lame old little Han, nobody from nowhere, had barely an effect on any of that.
He Inspector Gadgeted it, I'm telling you.
That was a pretty good analogy.
Yep. So essentially, the rebels were there, or the precursor to the rebels, whatever you want to call them. They were there to rob the train as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to kill people to accomplish that mission. So that basically takes any dramatic tension out of like Rogue One, where the pilot or whatever the character was who had that moral dilemma of, he
Captain.
just killed, yes, the captain who no one cares about.
Mm-hmm.
He killed the informant, right, to show you that they're crossing this line that had never really been crossed in the Star Wars movies before. So now they're saying this is kind of like a normal thing, really, for them to kill indiscriminately to get their end goal. So who's the villain here? I don't know.
In retrospect, sure. While watching those individual movies, that connection could not have been made, I don't think.
No.
But yeah, hindsight, probably.
If you look at it, the entire scope of what they're trying to tell you about. So
I know this film goes back farther than what I'm going to mention right now, but I was really hoping that there'd be more of an essence of bounty hunters in this film, and I wanted to see Jabba the Hutt, and I wanted to see that interaction. I think they had a plan for what comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned
I know,
the Hutts, or she did.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see. You saw some Mandalorian armor, I guess, in what's his name's little vertical palace, which makes no sense if that's the only planet that they stay on. Why it would be vertically stacked? But yeah, you saw some Mandalorian armor. I expected to see Boba Fett because people love it.
Well, it's supposed to be one of the spin-off movies, though. That and Obi-Wan that are in jeopardy now. I agree they should focus on either if you're going to do a spin-off movie, focus on something new.
Yeah. It's an entire universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't need to keep hitting on the same people that we already like. Like, it's a gamble because just like this movie, and I'm going to speak for myself and no one else, you took a character that I really, really liked and made me not like him anymore. And I'm not the only person, I imagine. Introduce me to somebody new or someone that is a complete, like, wisp or hint of a character. Right. You've already given me Boba Fett's backstory. Why are you doing it if it is even an idea, if it's on somebody's board to do a Boba Fett movie? I knew his origin story, his revengeful character arc, and his super lame demise. There's no reason to do a Boba Fett movie. It would be him just like, this is where Boba Fett goes and gets groceries. Or this is Boba Fett watching Seinfeld like he would in Boba Fett's back hurts, so he has to take an anti-inflammatory. Like, there's no reason to tell the only piece, the uninteresting parts of somebody's character life.
I think Vader was really destroyed by Episode 1 and Episode 2. I really do not think he is as intimidating and powerful of a character anymore. Now that we see that, he just missed his mommy. He killed his potential wife over something stupid. I think they completely nerfed the character.
She died of sadness.
That too.
She died of a broken heart.
Do you think they would have learned from?
You're breaking my heart, Annie.
You would have learned from a character who doesn't look like a character that you've already established and who's not that great at acting.
It's like finding out that your mall Santa, you saw him behind the mall in the alley, smoking and drinking a 40 with his beard off. You know what I mean? It's like, he's not the magical character I thought he was.
As an adult, I expect that, but yeah, as a kid, it ruined a lot.
So you guys said that there was an announcement today, though, about spin-off movies? I didn't read this, so you got to talk about that.
They've all been put on hold.
Do you think that's as a result of this movie doing not so well? Is that mentioned, or is that just what I suppose because I don't think it was
release,
good?
But it's,
I thought it was official, but the box office returns for Solo is like 300,000 or 350,000. Geez, 350 million. But it costs like 200 million to make the movie, so a return of 100 million isn't enough for their profit margin to go forward. especially when, and they're comparing it to Rogue One as well. That Rogue One did a lot better, and they thought they were going to be able to repeat that same success
With
with
completely new
Solo.
characters and that they
Yeah,
haven't
and
really
it didn't.
referenced before. Well, not
It didn't
completely, but
happen. Right.
mostly new characters.
I
'Cause they had-
wonder that.
yeah.
I wonder, and this complete conjecture because there's no way we'd ever have an answer to this. If Ron Howard had the entire movie from start to end, would it have been a better movie? I would want to say yes, based on Howard's track record, but I'm not sure if this movie was ever going to be what people would have wanted.
I heard that the movie with the original directors, the guys who did the Lego movie, it was supposed to be like a buddy comedy. Like it was supposed to be more lighthearted and more comedic. And I think the parts where you actually hear some dialogue from the guy who played Solo and you actually see him as a character, they're in these more lighthearted, kind of funny moments. And I think if they would have built on that and made more of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of joke about some of those things instead of like, here is your blaster. Oh no, the escape pod like popped off, like such shoehorned in ways to answer those questions. I don't know. And maybe it would have been easier to take because it maybe would have seemed like they were in on the joke of making fun of themselves and being so obvious that these things are so blatant.
I'm not sure that's what people would have wanted out of the movie, though. At least, in this universe with what is already expected of that character. I think there's a certain degree of humor.
But what's expected out of him? Really, he's a scoundrel who had that one moment of redemption. Like, what is really expected of Han Solo?
I think it's expected that, basically the stuff that I said, earlier about his backstory and things that were supposedly rumored in kind of like Star Wars lore, as far as having a more comedic approach, I don't think that would have worked either in this movie. I don't know. I think it's tough either way.
There are people out here that know which parts are which. What is Ron Howard's stuff and what is the other person's stuff, but it's hard just sitting in front of the screen with a final product to know, like, where those creative differences start and stop.
I wish Disney would have taken a better approach and just scrapped it and started all over. I think it would have been a better investment because they already saw what happened with Justice League when, Zack Snyder, was doing it and just, DC wasn't happy with it. But then Zack Snyder was having personal problems. And then Joss Whedon came in, took it over and tried to fix things that he saw was wrong. And you're never going to get a good movie that way. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Same thing happened with The Hobbit.
What do you mean? Peter Jackson. He did the entire thing.
Peter Jackson came and took over The Hobbit from Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, but I don't think they started shooting yet. They were all in pre-production.
Maybe. Okay. It might have been that, but
a little bit different. They hadn't started shooting yet.
Well, listening to him explain it, they went through the same woes and all the behind-the-scenes deleted stuff. That it was, even in that much, it was pretty terrible on the director having to take over the creative planning and like a ball that's already rolling in someone else's direction.
Well, there's no excuse for the second and third Hobbit, so it doesn't matter. I think they're all trash.
Oh, but this movie, like, I was apprehensive of doing an actual episode on it because I don't want it to come across like that movie didn't meet my expectations. Because I didn't really have any. I just don't think structurally or in storytelling-wise, it was a good story. Like, I don't think anybody walked out of that movie as a character like any better. Like, I didn't learn anything from anybody. There was no mega revealing things other than I guess Darth Maul is alive. Darth Maul's alive.
And Chewie is a pack mule. That's his only redeeming quality in this movie. That's all he did.
Did it seem weird to you guys? This is a stupid little aside. Like when Chewie was wet and he was all like they were face to face and Chewie just looked like a skinny dude. That seemed really strange to me. Because Chewie was always this massive, imposing character, and like I never really thought too much about what was under all of his hair. And to see him all wet, I'm like, you just look like a guy, and this is.
Like Harry
Ugh.
and the Hendersons. Did you guys like how Han Solo spoke to him? Did you have a problem with that?
Oh. That was one of those times where I put my
Like,
grimace on. I'm like, ugh.
Like he just happened to know how to speak Wookiee.
Yeah.
I'm fluent in Wookiee because I lived on this ragtag indentured servant planet where you never see any Wookiees.
With
But you have to
Roz,
just
the
imagine
Roz
that they're
caterpillar woman. Yeah.
This very industrialized planet that has to have Wookiees from Kashyyyk, the like jungle planet. And okay, they were enslaved, and maybe he's run across one in his dealings, but he's a scoundrel. I don't know how many real friendships he made with a Wookiee, or maybe he took night classes or something. Like
When he first did that, I thought it was an accident. I thought he was trying to talk but was being choked, and so that's how it came out. But
To me, it was kind of like a Martha moment from Batman versus Superman.
it was.
Because he said the same thing. He just said it like he said the same thing at first in English and in Wookiee, and he understand and Chewbacca understands English and Wookiee. So why is it because he said it in Wookiee that's what made him release him?
And then he goes,
the
"What's your
Martha
name?" He goes, "He says,
We're gonna change
Chewbacca."
that.
Chewbacca. That's exactly what you just said.
Yeah, right.
Have you seen Paddington? The newer
no.
I saw the
remakes of
first
Paddington?
one. Yeah.
In the first one, it's really good. So the little bear meets the people, and they're like, "What's your name, little bear?" And he's like, "Roar!" Makes like a bear noise. He's like, "Yeah, that's my name. That's what they call me because we speak bear." Right? They're like, "There you go." So when Chewie's like, "Meh," he's like, "Oh, your name is Bartholomew." I understood that perfectly.
Completely, yeah.
See, in the buddy comedy spin, I thought about that scene, and then when he did that, Chewie like makes some weird face, like you just said, like tuna fish hair comb or something dumb, and then he just like laughed at this idiot, and he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna eat this moron because he's trying, and he just.
Right.
It's like people getting those Japanese tattoos where it says something stupid, like you just try really hard and you fail horribly. That's what I imagine.
Fried rice on Friday or something. Yes.
Because
He
we're
just
okay that
yelled.
Chewbacca eats humans. We're not going to even discuss that, right?
Yeah. What's that? He doesn't have sharp enough teeth, I think, to eat a human. It'll be very difficult for him. He
There's
doesn't
no
have
problem to eat a porg.
sharp incisors.
He doesn't eat them. He just pulls them apart.
Right, the arm reference. I like that. Where he pulled the
Yeah,
arms
that was
off.
all right. Yeah.
That was enough of not in your face. It was kind of a side joke that I liked that. But they should add more of those.
All right, so with that all being said, 2 thumbs up, and I think everybody should go see it.
Yeah.
Or save your money and go watch Infinity War again.
There's a couple more movies coming out this month though that are worth. I don't know if they're worth a full review, but I know that I want to go see. I want to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I want to see Mission Impossible Fallout. That one actually looks really good to me.
I like the other
I
ones.
wanted to go see The Incredibles. We tried to go see Incredibles 2.
Oh, yeah,
over
that
the day,
too.
and they were sold
Yeah.
out.
I should be seeing it next week.
What you guys been geeking out about? Great, me too.
Yeah. Gotta change gears to Happy Geek. Let's see. Oh, Voltron. The new season of Voltron, if you guys watch that, is out. I've quite liked it so far. Just as a series, I think that the cinematography and the action and like the comedy is like perfect. And sometimes they have like those little one-off episodes where they do some completely zany stuff, and it was great. Like there's one episode, it's not really a spoiler, where 2 characters like reprogram one of the this is from a previous season. They reprogram one of the enemy robot who's trying to kill them. They capture him, reprogram him, and then they go off on these escapades, like playing pranks on all the other like enemies on the base. And they're like, "Oh, we're busted! Run!" And they're like running off, and the robot's like picking on other characters. It's just they don't take themselves too seriously, but they have nice dramatic moments and there's a lot of character building. It's what a story should be, and like they craft stuff where they start with this little character arc, and they plant these seeds, and later on they kind of reach back and grab stuff from the beginning, like, oh yeah, that's how that connects, and it's just, you can feel a good story. It's very engaging, unlike Solo.
Last season had a good cliffhanger.
Oh, for Voltron?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I am geeking out about it. Remember I was telling you guys I was trying to model the helmet?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did it.
Yeah?
And I kind of like it. I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if I can screenshot. I'll show you guys afterward. But
and those of you
I
that are
finished
watching the
it.
live stream, I'll share it as well on our YouTube channel. If you want.
I finished it, and when we were at Maker Faire, Mark did a 3D scan of me and of Tiff and of Wes.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that scan and I put it into Fusion, and I took the helmet that I made, which was originally going to fit on a Centurion's toy, because I want to make my own set of Centurion's armor for the toy. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to make it for the toy, why don't I just make it for me? And then I can just carry around a smaller version of the thing that I'm wearing. But I can put it on the bust of me, and I could get it to my proper head size, and I can break it apart, and I can put it on a 3D printer. And I can model the helmet in actual dimensions. It's pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Technology.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it is not easy. And Daryl from the Broken Nerd has been pumping out some amazing helmets. And this thing has taken me like a couple weeks to do, and it still looks like it's very obvious, like it's a big blob that has been hollowed out to where his are like chiseled and beautiful masterpieces. And I'm like, good God, he is very, very skilled at what he does, and he makes it look really easy, and it is not easy. But it's cool. Sean, what about you?
I'm not geeking out about anything in particular, just everything I have coming up, hopefully, with working on the shop and getting a bunch of things crossed off my list that I have for the summer. And I'm going out of town next week, which will be kind of fun to get out of the house for a couple days. I'm going to go visit my parents in Vegas. So that's about it.
Sweet.
All right, well, we'd love to hear from all of you. Go ahead and check out our website, makinggeeks.com. Check out the contact page if you'd like to drop us some questions or a suggestion for the show. You do that right there on that page, and on the homepage you can listen to all of our past episodes and go ahead and take a look back and see all of our past guests that we've had too. And I know that we have maybe another one or two guests coming up, hopefully in the next month or so, that we've been kind of working on. So, makinggeeks.com.
This is where Mark usually speaks.
Yeah.
Check out all of our socials. See the links on makinggeeks.com.
Yes, like geeksmithing.com.
Geekbuilders.net.
That's my part. Why you guys are taking my part?
We're
I'm
scrambling
right
it up.
here.
We thought maybe you could take
The
Mark's.
Okay, well, we'll just mixing this whole bag
Let's
up
do it.
now. What'd you do already? I'm narking. I wasn't paying attention.
PIWorkshop.com and makinggeeks.com.
MakingGeeksPodcast.com/Instagram.
Oh, man. Mark, we need you, man. Where you at? We're falling apart without you.
Mark wasn't feeling well. We hope he feels better. But you can find Mark's work at asylum-3d.com. You can find the show on Instagram at Making Geeks Podcast and on Twitter at Making Geeks. And please tweet to us or get a hold of us. I say this especially for me. Give me your opinion of this movie, and please help me change my mind. I want to not feel this way.
Are we being too critical? Should we not care
And
as much?
I hope I'm not, but we're blasting out our own opinions, and you people are listening to it, so it's kind of your own fault. But please, if you do not share my opinion, please do your best to convince me. I am open-minded about it. Bob has tried. It has worked not great, but
And speaking
give
of
me your best.
your opinion, we set up a listener survey, and you can get to that from makinggeeks.com/survey. It goes to a SurveyMonkey survey, and we are going to ask you questions about the show and things like that we've done in the past, things you might want to see, previous guests you might like to see, and additional questions that we'd like to get your opinion on. And as a reward for having to go through this survey, I lasered an extra water bottle with the exact same graphics that I gave to these guys at our 100th episode that we recorded at Maker Faire in the Bay Area last month. So I've got an extra one of those I'll give away. We'll do like a raffle out of all the people that complete the survey. Give that away, Fandango gift card, and maybe some other fun items that we'll announce. Just so keep an eye out on that webpage, makinggeeks.com/survey. And we'd like to thank our patrons as well for keeping us afloat over at patreon.com/makinggeeks. And especially our top patron, Mr. Seth Williams, who I will see in a month, actually.
Is he going this year?
He's going this year to Mr. Tony Rouleau's slip and slide party. So he said he was. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm geeking out over that. I just don't want to get too excited yet because it's not close enough. But bringing my family up there. We're going to Cape Cod for a week. And on the way to Cape Cod, we're stopping off. We're doing a couple-hour detour to go to Mr. Rouleau's house to enjoy the Maker festivities.
Super cool.
Yeah. But head over to patreon.com/maingeeks. Thank you so much.
There you go. Yeah, we're sorry that we can't make it this year. But we made it last year. We brought the RV. It was really fun. You have a good time. Sweet. So, if you're still here, it means you really like the show, or you're just letting it play in the background. But either way, we really appreciate it. Wonder if you like Solo, and again, try to convince me that I'm wrong in my thinking. I'm always open to a new interpretation. And we thank you for hanging out with us every week. If you like the show, stay tuned every Saturday for a new episode. And from all of us here, and especially from Mark, who's not here with us, we hope you have a fantastic week.
See you guys.
Go see some movies.
Just not that one.